I listened to a podcast. You had Vince Ellis on your podcast,
Uh-huh.
and you guys touched upon this a little bit, but are you just surprised that John Collins is still on this team? He was painted as this just like goner entering
Yeah.
entering the offseason, yet he's still here. Like he's still in Atlanta.
I think at first I was a little bit surprised. I'm not gonna lie. Just because of what he could have potentially brought them back. But the more I think about it, it's like it shouldn't be surprising, especially because they went out and got Murray. And then from what I saw when I watched that one game at the crossover pro am, I was pretty happy with what I saw with the early chemistry that those three guys were building. I mean, you had Trey passing to John, you had DeJounte passing to John, you had Trey passing to DeJounte to passing to John. I mean, it just showed that there's so much that these three guys can be as the Hawks' big three. And then when you factor in a guy like DeAndre, if they do decide to, offer him his rookie extension, I think the sky's the limit with this team, if I'm being honest. I'm not surprised that he's still here, to go
I
back to your original.
Right, when you really think about it, it was all the rumors tied to him were like, oh, Hawks get picks for John Collins. It's like, no, the Hawks aren't trying to get picks. They're trying to get better. And so why would you
Exactly.
be divesting this player into picks? I do wonder though, because he was pretty open about like wanting a more expansive offensive role.
Mhm.
Does now adding another ball dominant guard to the equation complicate his place in the offense at all? Like I think he's underrated because his offense is, and our
Mhm.
listeners make fun of me because I say it all the time with him, is so scalable. Just like
Mhm.
someone who went from being used as the primary screener to playing with Clint Capella and being able to, show it off a little bit of his floor game, but knock down threes off the catch. That's just, you can't just throw that away. Like, that's a really
Yeah.
good player. So I think he's underrated, but for someone who wants maybe a more prominent role within the offense, I am
Mhm.
curious as to whether the Hawks have complicated his place in the pecking order with the Murray move specifically.
I don't know. I don't think so, just because the fact that you have both Murray and Trey who can go out and get you 20 points a night if you needed them to, that's going to just take a lot of those opposing teams' best defenders off of John, which will, in my opinion, free him up to be John. I mean, I don't know. I think that especially if you're going to be staggering Trey and Murray's minutes, you can also stagger John so that he does have a little bit more responsibility
Mhm.
in the Hawks' offense if you need him to. They're going to put a premium on shooting, and I believe John is a very capable shooter. So I mean, you don't. I think because they traded away Kevin Herter, who was one of their high volume shooters last season, that does put a little bit more responsibility on John and DeAndre, just because Murray doesn't have that same strength as they do. And I mean, if the Hawks are going to continue to be one of the top shooting teams in the league, they're going to need John to be able to do that. Now, if he's trying to be the guy that attacks the basket a little bit more, then yes, I think that does complicate things a little bit. But if they're shifting his role to kind of be the guy that stretches the floor, then no, I don't think it complicates things.
And he's probably someone that when Trey's off the court and you have Murray on the floor, you almost just want to tie him to those minutes because him and Murray make so much sense together because Murray does have he has a little bit of a mid-range game in the rim
Mhm.
pressure, but he's very much TBD, to put it kindly, as a shooter
Yes.
overall. And I was also wondering if having someone like Murray and if Hunter's healthy and you can add more resistance at the
Mhm.
point of attack in the perimeter, if it makes more sense than when Capella's not on the floor, you do have Okongwu, but
Mhm.
maybe John Collins logs a little bit more time as the backup center during those minutes because you don't. I think he's come a long way defensively. I don't
Mhm.
think you want him as your primary backline defender. I also
No.
think that maybe doesn't matter as much if you're putting both Hunter and Murray in the lineup with him now.
I agree. And I mean, we also haven't even factored in where Kaminsky is going to fit into this. So, I mean, if you have Kaminsky as the five, John is, the guy who's the four, I mean, maybe that does also free up that opportunity for him to be the guy that attacks the rim.